Hey guys, what's up? Today we are going to talk about range bags, what you might want to carry in it, what you might want to bring with you to the range, you know, what is a range bag, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Alright, so range bags. For this video, to kind of keep it a little bit shorter, because I could go on and on and on and on, I have a tendency to ramble, so we're going to try to cut that down a little bit, nip it in the bud as it were. See, I'm doing it right now. We basically already emptied everything out of this bag, okay? And we're just gonna go over some main categories of things that you might want to carry in your bag. These are specific things that I carry in my bag, and my needs are gonna be a little bit different than your needs, and vice versa. It's just, not everybody's the same. Not everybody needs to carry the exact same stuff. So, first off, we're gonna start with the bag itself, and that's gonna be a very simple thing. Okay, I guess first we should define a range bag. And what would a range bag be? I think my definition of a range bag would be a container that carries your necessary equipment to facilitate your training that day at the range. That's a weird definition, and it's probably not even repeatable, but basically you need some bag, some thing to carry the stuff that you bring to the range, okay? And specifically like a range bag, for me, like I said, my needs are different than yours. I don't have one bag. I have a bunch of bags and a bunch of boxes and cases. And when I go to the range, I pack out the truck, and it's an all-day ordeal, right? Because I do a lot of different stuff. So that's different, right? So if I broke it down into one bag, that's kind of what this is. So the necessary equipment that I need, right, to be able to have the stuff that I need, and then that kind of facilitates the rest of my other needs, if that makes any sense. So first off, the bag. This bag, I believe, I got it at Walmart years ago. It's a field line tactical bag, okay? Not necessarily name brand kind of stuff. As you can see, it's falling apart. I've used it for a very long time. But it's been a good bag. It's just a big bag with big pockets. I can just throw a bunch of stuff in, all right? And one thing that, again, I kind of tried to cut this thing a little bit shorter, even though it probably doesn't sound like it. This thing turns into a trash bag. All right, at least for me it is. Like having a truck, right? You end up having a bunch of extra stuff in the truck that you don't use, that you probably don't need. So I went ahead and cleared out a lot of stuff out of this bag that really didn't need to have it in there. So we're gonna put the bag aside. The only thing on the bag that I carry, besides some cool patches and things, is a tourniquet, right? Tourniquet's on the outside of the bag because the bag's usually sitting around, you know, people could kind of have access to it. They can see it, and if something bad happens, if they notice the bag, it should be like yellow or red or some bright colored thing. It says TQ on it, and it's a tourniquet that's on the outside of the bag. It's easy to see. It's easy to pull this thing out and grab it if somebody happened to, God forbid, need that, okay? So that's the bag. I really don't care what kind you have. I'm not super specific and picky about mine. I've just been using this for a long time because it's a big bag, all right? Since we already talked about the tourniquet, we're gonna go into some main categories, and that first one being safety. But the safety equipment that I bring with me is the tourniquet. I should bring a full blowout kit. I don't. But some of the stuff that I do bring is like tape, which can be used for band-aids, whatever kind of stuff like that. Sometimes I do have band-aids in here. Right now, I really don't. Yeah, I probably should. But some kind of medical tape to help tape up stuff if something happens. Like I said, the tourniquet. This isn't really a safety thing. Could be used for safety thing, to clean up something. It could be. It's more of a hygiene thing, right? If you have some wet wipes, I bring these with me. It's just handy to have these things. Make sure you don't get a hole in it, or else it just turns into regular paper towels, and that's not really fun. But I'll bring those with me, because again, those can be used for a whole bunch of things, whether it be safety stuff or just hygiene stuff at the range, or wiping your hands off, getting that nastiness off of your hands. You know, after shooting the gunk and slime and whatever, yeah, you want to get that stuff off. Talking about eye pro and ear pro, okay? The eye protection, ear protection stuff. For eye protection, mine are inside, the ones that I generally always wear. They're Oakley, I think they're gas cans or fuel cans or whatever name they are, I can't remember, but they're Oakleys, and I've had them for a good long while. They work well, they fall off my head if I'm not wearing a hat, so generally I'm always wearing a hat. But they work well, right? They're good shooting glasses and they're fine. But if I don't have those, I've always got, these are some clear glasses that I have with me, and then these are just, I don't remember which brands, I guess these are Under Armour, and then I don't remember which ones these are, but these are just extra glasses that I pretty much always have in my bag. They're just in my bag just in case I forget my glasses, somehow or other they break, or really, you're kind of looking out for the guy next to you, and hopefully he has glasses, and you know, if he doesn't, and he starts shooting stuff and his eyes get all messed up, you could be like, hey, you want to borrow a pair of glasses? Just be a nice guy. But anyway, I carry some extra sets with me. For Ear Pro, I carry two main kinds. I have in the ear and I have over the ear, okay? This is a whole different topic for a whole different time probably. We might make another video about it for y'all. But in ear, I use Surefire. I've had these things for a while. Sonic Defenders, I really have had these for at least 10 years, and they work. They're great. I've stopped using them for a long time because I started using these. These are axles. This is not the bag. This is the bag they come in, but they come in a handy dandy little zip bag, and that's upstairs somewhere. But these are little in-ear Ear Pro. Barely, you can't really even tell you're wearing them unless you look down into somebody's ear. But if you're running around doing stuff, right? If you're slinging a rifle, if you're doing drills and stuff like that, having in-ear Ear protection is very handy because it's not getting caught in your sling. You know, it's not getting in the way of your rifle when you're shouldering your rifle, and they actually work very well, right? If you get good ones, they work really well. But I do like these, and I keep a couple extra sets with me. For over the ear, if I'm just shooting in general, I'll have over the ear because these are electronic. You can hear, you know, the regular noises, people's conversations and stuff, and then if people start shooting, it starts blocking out the louder noises. And these are Peltor range guards, right? These are actually pretty nice. They're relatively cheap. I think they're probably around 40 bucks or something like that. So they're a little bit more than like your in-ear ear protection, which is generally like maybe 15 or something like that. Something, I'm just throwing numbers around, just generalized. But these are a little bit more expensive, but they are worth it. If you're gonna be shooting a lot, right? And especially if you're gonna be shooting with people around you, these can be super, super helpful. I'm not getting super into the nitty gritty about it, but I mean, they're really helpful. And even like if you go hunting or whatever, these are super nice to have because usually when I go hunting, it's cold outside and these kind of double as earmuffs to kind of keep your ears warm, where in-ear protection's not gonna do that. Anyway, that's the kind of safety aspect of it. We're gonna move on. See, I wrote stuff down, and this little notebook will come up later, but targets, okay? We move on to targets. In general, whenever you go shooting, you got a couple different kinds of shooters out there. Some people just want to go to the range. They don't even want to go to the range. They want to go to some empty field somewhere and shoot daisies or pop cans or dirt clods, right? I've done that. I've been that guy before, and it's great. It's fun, whatever. I mean, just shooting stuff, reaction targets, you know, whether it be steel or literally shooting dirt clods and grasshoppers and stuff like that. Like, that can be really fun. That can be really, really fun. It can develop some different skills and stuff. That was more like 15 years ago when I was doing that kind of stuff. Now I get a little bit more, I'm trying to actually train, I'm trying to actually develop a skill instead of just expending ammunition and blowing off steam, right? So if you're gonna do that, if you're going to focus in on some skill development, having some targets is really, really good. So in my bag, in the back of it, I carry a little folder that I keep sticky targets, right? So even if you just have a simple piece of cardboard, you can throw a sticky target on it, and there you go, you got your target. I've got a whole bunch of those sight-in targets, right? You can print these things off on the internet. Lots of different things you can do. There are specific drills, right? Print out some specific drills. There's people out there that have gone to great trouble, you know, to create drills, and so and they're free. You read the instructions. A lot of people have YouTube videos about it where they'll walk through stuff, but you can do some developmental skills with just a simple printed off target, right? And instead of just going to the range and just shooting a whole bunch of expensive ammunition, you can actually develop some skills. There's different things. Like I said, there's different sight-in targets depending on what kind of, you know, sights I'm trying to sight in, whatever. I bring a bunch of different stuff, all right? And ultimately, if you're done, if you don't even need to use this side, and you're like, well, this is a bunch of stuff, we'll flip it over to this side and either use one of those sticky targets or yeah, the little stickers, or bring some tape, right? Tape goes into a bunch of different categories here, so it just pops up every now and then. But having a little bit of tape with you allows you just to put a little piece of tape on a target, and there's your target, you know? Or you could put a couple of them, depending on how close you are, you know, what you're trying to do. Pretty easy to have some targets, but getting some targets that are specific, right, that have a drill associated with it, I find that to be extremely helpful. Some of the stuff, I hope I still have some in here. I believe this is a Haley Strategic, yeah, hands, eyes, finger target, right? He's got these. You can watch this video. You can print these things off on his website. I believe it's on his website. I think it's like 100 rounds or 50 rounds or whatever it is. You can tailor it to whatever you're trying to do. doing a simple, like bringing 1 box of ammunition, right? Which right now, that's crazy, but bringing 1 box of ammunition to the range and focusing on some specific things, that is going to do so much more for you than bringing 200 rounds of ammunition to the range and just shooting it, right? Be specific on your drills, right? On your development, what you're trying to do, and you're really gonna have. Me personally, I have a much better time when I do that because I come away at the end of the day feeling like I accomplished a little bit more instead of just shooting ammunition. But anyway, have some kind of target, have some kind of thing in mind, even if you just have the stickies, because a lot of times you'll find, I mean, depending on what kind of ranges you go to, there might be cardboard left over from somebody shooting, or even just paper or whatever, and having these little sticky targets, these are not that expensive. You can get them in a whole big old sheet. But having some little sticky targets, that's very, very handy to have. But that's targets, right? That's like, if you do, that's a simple thing that a lot of people just overlook. They just go to the range and like, oh, what are we gonna do? Now they just shoot dirt clods. Again, nothing wrong with that, but it's not really skill development right there. All right, so moving on, consumables. This is mainly batteries, okay? And what batteries you carry with you, that is dictated by what equipment you have with you, all right? A lot of times nowadays, optics run off just a handful of batteries. They don't use a whole bunch of different ones, or at least, I mean, hopefully they don't run off a whole bunch of different ones. But in general, the batteries I carry with me are lithium batteries, right? These ones are actually rechargeables. I carry non-rechargeables, right? Lithium batteries, the 123A batteries. I don't really care, Surefire, Streamlight, whatever brand's your flavor, I really don't care. But I've got different ones, right? And just to have them, because I can tell you, the one time I really needed some batteries, I was at a competition. It was right before one of the stages, and my EOTech went out. And I knew EOTechs were notorious for not having great battery life, and it's lasted me forever, and I thought I changed the batteries out right before the whole match. But no, the thing puckered out on me, and my only saving grace was a fellow competitor. Kudos to you. You know who you are. You're probably never gonna watch this, but you know who you are if you ever see this. But you saved my bacon that day by giving me some batteries. So that was really, really cool. Most of the time, you're probably not gonna be so nice, or there's not gonna be such a nice person that's gonna help you out there, especially with these expensive lithium batteries. But he was a really cool guy, and he helped me out. So I learned my lesson that way. Now I carry not only the rechargeables, but several extra sets just in case something happens, okay? Also, if you got optics, you got the little 2032 and what are the other ones? There's 2032 and the little bitty ones. I carry those in here. If I can open it up. I don't know. You know, y'all know what they're 1632, 2032 and 1632. Those are the main like pistol-sized optic batteries. Those are the main ones. And so I carry several of those, just carry them in there. 9-volt batteries. These are mainly for my shot timer and my chronograph. Those are really handy things to have. Batteries for those things because, again, those are going to go out at the most inopportune moment. Again, more batteries. AAAs, my ear probe runs off AAA, so I'm always going through those. They have a decent battery life, but again, they're going to go out at the worst time because somebody's going to forget to turn it off and it's just going to burn the batteries down. So I carry a good amount of AAAs. Also a small charger for the rechargeable batteries. It's not going to save you right off the bat. You're going to have to charge the battery. But if you can, turn on the truck and charge the batteries up, I mean, it's better to have it than need it, not have it, basically, is my thoughts on that. Some other things in consumables are pens, okay? This kind of goes into the, target. You can use this for targets. This could go into a tool category, a miscellaneous category. There are so many different uses for pens. Even just having a simple little Sharpie, right, on you. Buy these by the case. Having a simple little Sharpie on you, if you don't have a sticker, you don't have a whatever, you have a piece of paper and you draw a little black dot, and now you have a target to shoot at instead of just a white piece of paper. That's a super handy dandy thing to have. Having a couple different colors, right? I got red, I've got silver. Silver's probably my favorite one. I should get more of them. And then I got a bunch of black ones and white, a white paint pen. The main things for the silver and the white paint pen are marking stinking things on your guns, right? So for instance, this gun right here, oh goodness, this gun right here, I know this guy's loose because last time I brought it out, it was moving on me, right? It shouldn't be moving like that. But one thing you can do, and I'll just do it for the sake of this video here, this isn't really targets anymore, it's consumables, but yeah. is if I was to tighten down these screws, right? So I tighten down these screws and I get everything locked in here like it's supposed to be locked in. What I can do with this little pen is mark the screw and right next to it, kind of like a little witness mark. And that would show me, hopefully that shows up in there. I don't know, but that would show me if this thing starts to back out, right? Or even on the side here, where the rail meets, or where the rail attachment meets the actual handguard, and putting a little mark there, and you can see if something comes loose. A lot of times, it's used more or less for things on like optics, right? Not so much accessory rails like this, but even on things like the screws on the rail. You can, after it's locked down and you're happy with where it's at, you can put a little witness mark just like that, and you can see if the thing starts to back out. And if it starts to back out, hopefully you catch that before you have an issue like me where I had stuff falling off my gun before. That's pens. Very, very, very useful, very easy to have. One of the things that gets overlooked a lot by people, and they want to be cool and carry the pen with them in their war belt thing while they go out and shoot their little targets. They don't really know what it's for. Well, that's some of the main things that it's for, all right? Even jotting down notes, scoring targets, whatever kind of thing. Very, very handy to have that. All right, so moving on to tools. So here we go, tools. This is where I might be a little bit different than some people. I've got a couple different tools. I got staples. This is staples and staplers, a knife, and some CLP. This is not enough tools, okay? And for me, like what I would recommend, depending on what stuff you got, if you got specific tools that you need for specific sites you might be installing or accessories you might be installing, bring those specific tools, okay? But also having a hammer, you know, some punches, needle nose pliers, some stuff like that. Having those, if that's your basic little tool essentials, right? If those fit in the bag, that's cool. For me, those don't fit in the bag. I bring way too much stuff. I bring an entire, well, this is part of the tool. So I bring a whole big old heavy box of tools, right? A whole toolbox full of goodies that I can, you know, fix my guns, other people's guns, just depending on what's going on. Loctite, that's another thing that just, maybe that should be in consumables. It is kind of a tool thing. Having this stuff with you when you go to the range, I can tell you, there's plenty of times where I've been to the range, where I've been working on a project, doing something, and I realized I needed that other tool. That specific weird tool that you don't think you really need, but then you have that one time, then you gotta drive 45 minutes back, 45 minutes, you know, to the range and back. It's just crazy. Not too fun, and you learn your lesson. So me, I just bring the whole toolbox and other tools. I try to think of every possible issue that could come up and bring the tool to fix that. And hopefully you won't need it, but you know, it's fine. That's why you bring a big old truck, right? And then you can carry a bunch of stuff in it. But have the tools that you need for the stuff that you've got, right? If that means you're sighting in a pistol, bring, you know, if you don't have a sight adjustment tool, make sure you have a brass punch and a hammer, right? That you can use to fix those sights. Make sure you bring some Loctite in a front sight tool if it's a Glock or, you know, another pistol sight that's got those sights, so that you can fix the stuff, right? Because what would be really frustrating is to like sight in the pistol, whatever, you can't lock it down, you can't finish it, you can shoot it and it's good, and then you bring it back home and you got to take the screws out and you got to, you know, Loctite everything, and then you, in the back of your mind, at least for me, I would always be thinking, is it still actually zeroed? It probably is, but you know, you want to do that. And even like if you're mounting optics on a gun, right? You don't want to mount it, have everything good to go, and then you have to adjust it or whatever at the range, and then you forgot your Loctite, right? Kind of again what I just said with the pistol sights. You know, you have everything good to go, and then you get home and you want to Loctite the thing, but in order to Loctite, you got to take the screw out. And you take the screw out, then you lost your zero. So bring the tools that you need, all right? So moving on to the very last category, this is the miscellaneous accessories, extras, whatever you want to call it. Part of that is a notebook, right? Notebooks are great for writing down ideas, right? Especially like, oh, I keep forgetting this one thing, so I'm gonna write it down in my little notebook. Having a little notebook, keep in your bag to write down ideas, whether it be ideas of things you need to bring, things you need to work on, maybe things you need to get, you know, the honey-do list that your wife texts you that you forgot, you know, stuff you gotta write down. Having a little notebook's really, really good. My stuff's kind of random. This is the stuff that was in my bag, so this is stuff that I actually use. Again, some tape, just use it. I can't bring to mind specific things. A lot of it has to do with wrapping fingers so you don't get blisters. keeping cords out of the way, whatever it might be. Tape's really, really handy. A little tripod adapter, you never know if you're trying to get working on different things, whatever. Phone chargers, these are very, very handy. I used to shoot all my videos on an iPhone, which is great, except the batteries would go out. Now I use an actual camera so I can carry extra batteries, but still having a phone charger with me, that's a handy thing to have. I carry a magazine pouch and a holster, right? These are for Glock, or the holsters for Glock. You can put other magazines in here, but this is just good to have just in case you're going to be running a drill or doing something and you want to, you know, do it with somebody else and they don't have, you know, stuff, whatever. You can be like, hey, here's a loaner pack. Just use this stuff and then give it to me when you're done. It's a good little thing to have. Same thing with the sling. Sometimes you got a sling on your gun. I don't have slings on all my guns. I have specific slings that I like, but having an extra one in your bag is just a good, nice thing to have. I do usually have some sort of food with me. I don't know what the shelf life of these things are, but it's probably been in there for a very long time. You may not want to eat that one, but having a little bit of food with you is probably not a bad idea. You don't want to get messed up at the range after you've been there for, you know, a long, long time. Again, just this is extras, this isn't specific categories, but wedge packs, whatever that might be for you, just extra screws or whatever it might be. You know, if you're adjusting holsters, you know, you might come with extra accessories and different things. That's what these are for. These are for holsters. So having those little extra things that doesn't fit specifically into a category, but you know you're going to be working on it, or you know you use that holster a lot when you go to the range and you might want to switch something out or whatever. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Keep those extra things with you if you think you're going to be needing it. Matches, who knows? You might get stuck out there and need to cook your lower bar. Measuring tape and or rangefinder, right? Obviously, if it's really long, you're not going to use a measuring tape to try to measure out a couple hundred yards. But knowing your ranges and stuff, that's actually really helpful, right? Especially if you're going for data, you're trying to figure stuff out like that. All right, rangefinders and almost said duct tape. Rangefinders and measuring tapes, right? If it's shorter ranges, you could measure out some with the measuring tape. Or if you're measuring, like, you know, barrel lengths and stuff like that, rail lengths and just different smaller things like that, that can be nice to have. Or measuring group sizes, right? That's mainly what this is for, measuring group sizes. Because I don't always bring my calipers with me, but that's what this guy's mainly for. If you're doing distances, like you're trying to measure out your 7 yards, your 15 yards, you know, 35, 100, 300 yards, whatever, having a good rangefinder with you is going to be really, really helpful. Last couple little things. I've got a couple shot timers. I've used this guy, the Pocket Pro 2, used it for a very long time. Finally got wet and he just doesn't work very much anymore at all. Kind of makes me a little bit sad. So I got this packed PACT. I got this little guy. I've seen a bunch of other YouTuber people out there use it and I haven't been able to use it yet. It looks really good. But what I do know is that this little guy, the Pocket Pro 2, it will pick up the audio, the noise from my airsoft gun. So if I'm using that in the garage, where I can practice, you know, draws and first shots and all that kind of stuff, I can do that with this guy. But the PACT, the PACT, it is not sensitive enough for that. Kind of makes me a little bit upset. But we'll see how well this works. But having a shot timer, all right, who cares about the brand? Having a shot timer that works for you, that is amazing, right? Keep that in your bag so you don't forget it. That's a really, really, really good thing to have with you when you're at the range. If you're out with a whole bunch of people, it's gonna be hard to use it, right? But if you're able to be kind of by yourself to where it picks up your shots, this changes. Again, it kind of goes back to the targets. It changes just shooting around to actual training, right? Hope that makes sense. And then also, I do like to use Clear Glide, right? This stuff, if you shoot suppressed very much at all, this will last me an extremely long time, probably like 15, 20 years. And all this is used for is ablative material, I think is how you call it. When you put a little drop of it in your suppressor, it makes the decibels go way down, right? It makes the things really, really quiet. Also makes things really, really dirty, which again is why you should carry some wet wipes. But this is just something that I carry with me in my bag because I'm not gonna carry it anywhere else. It's a big old quart or however much it is. But it's a good, fun thing to have with you if you happen to be shooting suppressed and you want to bring it down a little bit extra decibels. Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. This is just a look at some of the stuff that I carry in my bag. Like I said, I carry a bunch of other stuff, a bunch more bags. I have a whole bag for suppressor stuff, which is probably where this should be. But accessories, attachments, all that kind of stuff. I do a whole bunch. bring, like I said, a whole truckload of stuff, but just a bag, one bag to have all your stuff in. This is kind of the essentials that I would say that you kind of need. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Let us know if you did find that helpful. What do you bring in your bag? We'd love to know. If there's anything we missed. I mean, again, your needs could be different than mine. My needs could be different than yours. You're like, why in the world do I need to go buy a big old quart of Clear Glide? Probably don't, but you know, I like to have it. That's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Y'all be good, be safe, and hopefully we'll catch y'all in the next video.